Good morning, Twitch. Words. It's fine. I've only said it a couple of times in my life. Good morning, Twitch.tv. Good morning to YouTube as well. And, of course, good morning, Mini Motorways. We're going to Mexico City, where today we will have double traffic lights, and we begin with 5 motorways, which is nice. But those 5 motorways will be our only motorways. So, you know, we should probably use them sparingly, which means we won't draw one here, even though I thought about doing it. That would have been funny. But no, we shall not be doing that. Instead, we shall be congratulating Samurai Sam, who was here first. Good morning, Sam. Oh, thank you for being with us here on this dreary Thursday. It is gray and bleak here in the I was going to say the as yet unnamed location, which contains the underscore Goog, but listen, if you go back long enough, I'm sure I've said not just the name of the biggest nearby town, but probably the name of the actual town. So, you know, please don't dox the Goog. Apparently it's going to be 90 degrees today. Gross. That blows. Not looking forward to that. That sounds bad and dumb. Certainly not a fan of that. Alright, let's take a tunnel, because there are rocks. We're going to need them. The tunnels, that is, not the rocks. The rocks we can take or leave. We certainly won't be fooled by the rocks that this city got. It's still Mexico City from the block. I don't think that's how this works, actually. I don't think that's how anything works, come to think of it. Alright, we have an immediate minor issue. I would classify this as at least a minor issue, what we have going on here. I wonder if I was to just blow everything up and start from scratch, is there a way to do this that doesn't involve a motorway, an overlapping business, or an enormous roundabout? I believe the answer to that is no, but we're gonna find out. Alright, so we go off here. If we do that, but also that, this would require a traffic light, which I don't presently have. So, Alright, listen, I know I said that we don't want to do an enormous roundabout, but have you considered? Have you considered how easily this just flings itself together here? When you think about it, what we can do is we can just do this and have everything run together for no particular reason. Have you considered how good and obvious this is? This is just, it was born to happen in Mexico City. Pay no attention to the music. Listen. This is the second funniest song that could have been played at the Stupid Birthday Boys' dumb party. They played the funniest one. They literally played Fortunate Son at the Stupid Whiny Birthday Boys' party. So, that's nice. Very funny. Yeah, we probably shouldn't actually try to route 4 businesses' traffic all through one single roundabout. That is, in fact, a very bad idea. It won't end well. I'm surprised it's even progressed this far being well. Alright, fine. Listen, we'll run the beige over to here. Actually, that beige being right there kind of cuts off a progress avenue out this way. I was sort of thinking we would do a traffic light here maybe and just circumvent the roundabout with those greens, but now we can't do that, so unfortunate. Listen, maybe we'll just leave it. Maybe it'll actually be fine. Maybe we'll add purples to it. We're not going to add purples to it. We're going to use one of our tunnels here. And by one of our tunnels, we mean our tunnel. So our tunnel's going to go over that away. These 2 purples will swing around the green and get in there. Oh boy, another circle. That's exactly what this situation needed. That's pretty much the perfect spawn when you think about it. is more and better circles. More and better circles will make everything A-okay. All right, let's take another tunnel because Lord knows we're going to need them. Samurai Sam would like us to remember Paul Bear. Oh, Paul Bear was a good and fun character for a very particular era of WWF storytelling, by which I mean he was the perfect manager for The Undertaker when The Undertaker was starting to become a thing. And yes, they did have a character named The Undertaker, whose gimmick, depending on exactly what time it was either that he was a literal reanimated walking corpse, or just a dude who used that imagery to psych out his opponents, or sometimes a biker fascist. But, you know, that's mostly in his off time these days. Anyway. Yeah, Paul Bear was good and fun, and he spoke in this very high-pitched voice, oh yes, and I can't actually do a very good Paul Bear impersonation, but he was always talking about, my Undertaker will destroy you, oh yes. He was good, he was fun, and he eventually, you know, I think they tried to build like a whole stable around Paul Bear, because every manager in late 80s, early 90s WWF was trying in some fashion to be Bobby Heenan, and that usually meant we took traffic lights there mostly because I didn't need the road tiles, but I also didn't need the 5th through 8th traffic lights, so oops. Anyway. They tried to put a couple other guys with Paul Bear. He was a big part of the Kane storyline. Obviously, the story was like Paul Bear turned out to be, I think he wound up being Kane's real father, but not Undertaker's. I don't remember the canon. It was a while ago. What are we going to do about this purple business? We could do like a ridiculous tunnel road, like go all the way around here and swing back that way. Seems kind of dumb. I think instead what we might do is grab the first of our 5 motorways, and we'll just dedicate these 2 businesses right here. Go down that way. Yes, indeed, happy Juneteenth to everyone. My work allows for a what they call floating holidays, which I took advantage of today. Sam still has to work because, well, listen, capitalism, white supremacy, they kind of go hand in hand, even if they only have one hand, if you know what I mean. Anyway, these oranges will swing up here, bop that away. We'll get this going up here. We'll take another roundabout. That seems like a good idea. Definitely not going to ruin and wreck and kill everything. What are you talking about? That would be silly. All right. We probably need to do something about this this situation here. I don't think it's actually going to work and be good anymore. The problem, well, a problem is we kind of can't. Like, there's no awesome way to peel these apart. The problem, listen, it's a good summation of problems, generally. This comes over to here. But yeah, Paul Bear, he was good, he was fun, he kind of overstayed his welcome, and they wrote off his character a bunch of times, but then they brought him back, and I remember WrestleMania 20, when Undertaker returned as the Dead Man character. Like, he had been the biker version of The Undertaker for several years, but then he got injured and he went away and he came back as the Dead Man, and just bringing back Paul Bear was very, very cool to 16 and change year old Goog watching WrestleMania. It was good. It was fun. And then he kind of overstayed his welcome and they did a bunch of stupid heel turn bullshit, and yeah. But hey, again, a good, fun character. Yeah, I don't have that much else to say. Paul Bear was good and fun. It's a decent voice to impersonate. If you go through, like, you do your Randy Savage impersonation, you do your Hulk Hogan. But if you want to go a not really deep, but sort of deep cut wrestling impersonation, do a decent Paul Bear. The Undertaker, or the _Goog, rather, cannot do a decent Paul Bear. For that matter, The Undertaker cannot do a decent Paul Bear, which is weird because The Undertaker spent a great long time as like an associate and a road partner and all of that with Paul Bear. Sam asks, did Paul Bear ever wrestle? I think... This is a true fact, by the way. Dude was a funeral director. Like, before he became the Paul Bear character, the person William Moody was a legitimate funeral director. And even when still performing as Paul Bear, he was a funeral director. And he would tell stories about how, like, a wrestling fan would pass away and they would go to, their family would go to the funeral home that Mr. Moody ran, not knowing. And then they would see Mr. Moody and be like, oh my God, it's Paul Bear. I'm very sad that Grandma's dead, but also this is cool. I think he might have started as a wrestler, but he was basically always a manager because he was not by any means an athletic gentleman. He was a portly fella, could be said, could fairly be described as large. So, yeah, he had matches because, like, it's wrestling. You do matches with people who aren't wrestlers sometimes, but, like, he was never a proper, like, there are professional wrestlers who are, you know, huge and enormous and round and gut-based, such as Mr. Bear was. They are also athletic, mostly, and Mr. Moody was not. It can safely be said. He was not. He was not. And listen, it's fine to not be. The _Goog is not. But yeah, you know, there are guys who were very good athletes and had big guts, and there are guys who are active today who have a little bit of a paunch going and are also really good athletes. And then there are folks such as, you know, the _Goog or Mr. Moody who were just big hefty fellas. Mr. Moody was a big hefty fella. It can safely be said. All right, since we're paused here, I am now taking it upon myself to do fucking anything other than this awful roundabout. We have had our fun. It is now going to kill everything. We should probably avoid that. I'd like to avoid that in a way that doesn't also use all of my motorways. That's a good question, Sam. I basically, like, typically when a person has a quote-unquote minor on-screen character, like a referee or an announcer or a manager, they do something else backstage. Sometimes a manager will get paired with a wrestler to literally just, and this was particularly the case in the days when, and this is still sort of the case in like WWE, but like when a company is touring and the wrestlers have to go from town to town to town, very, very typically, they're kind of like on their own to do that. Like, say you're in Shreveport and you've got to get to Baton Rouge. The show's in Shreveport on Tuesday at 4, and then the show wraps up at 10 or whatever, and it's like, all right, fellas, we'll see you in Baton Rouge tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock. And they just kind of shrug, and everybody goes off and does their own thing. And sometimes they'll put a manager with a young wrestler so as to teach the young wrestler, hey, young wrestler, hey, come here, listen. I know you're young and athletic and hot and you just got paid and there's a bar right there. However, you have to be in Baton Rouge tomorrow afternoon at 2. So if you get drunk in Shreveport now, it's going to go real bad for you. Or you go get drunk, I'll drive you to Baton Rouge. How about that? Hey, how about that? So they would like that's the basis for a lot of tag teams is, dudes wanting to be, a promotion would put a dude with another dude to be like, hey, be a mentor to this guy, or just friendships would form and gravitate, and you would have traveling buddies. And there were some managers who did legitimately become like business managers for these wrestlers. But also, yeah, they'll have some role backstage, whether it's helping to write segments or conveying messages to talent, that sort of thing. In addition to, waddling out alongside The Undertaker and holding an urn and going, oh, yes! That sort of thing. All right. I promised that I would do something about this roundabout, and I have proceeded to do nothing about this roundabout. So, jeez. I almost feel like the answer is a second roundabout, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, the main biggest problem here is that all the pinks are up north and all the greens are down south, and I can't really swing. I mean, we could run the greens up here. All right, here we go. Here we go. This is going to involve a tunnel. This is going to involve at least one tunnel. We're going to point our greens up here. They're going to come over this way. All right? And all of these greens are going to go over this way, over to here, and then they're going to go into a roundabout that is centered right here. And the southwest spur of that roundabout is going to do that, and the southern spur of that roundabout is going to do that. All of these greens feed into a roundabout right over here. Next, and meanwhile, fuck. I hate these beiges. I hate these beiges. Alright. I almost feel like this needs to happen. We just use 2 motorways? Oh, I hate that. Oh, I hate that. I hate the idea of using 2 motorways there. Alright, everybody sort yourselves out for a second. Let's wait for all of this nonsense mess to declunkify itself. Alright. All of that nonsense mess has now begun declunkifying itself, which is great. This orange comes over here. We'll wait for this dead motorway to stop being a dead motorway. Okay. Cool. Now, we've got 2 emergency fucked pink businesses. Great. Great, great, great. Very happy about that. It's a good and positive development. Okay. What if we took the beiges here and ran them down this way over here and here? Fuck you, beiges. Oh my god. These beige bastards. Okay. Wait. There we go. Okay. Now this is starting to point somewhere. Let's take these 5. Oh boy. All right. Now that we've done this, the solution is indeed 2 roundabouts. You come in here to the eastern entrance. You go there to the northeastern. You go there to the northern. We do a western spur, which loops around here to this business, and then a southwestern spur, which loops around here to this business. Everybody go. Okay. So now we have our 8 pink houses The problem, a problem might be that we just left these businesses alive too long, too long in their choke point status, and we might have a rat like here. But assuming this sorts itself out, which it sort of looks like it's gonna, I think we're sort of maybe okay here. We've got pinks into this roundabout to service these two businesses. We've got greens up into this roundabout to service these two. Okay. I cannot believe how much fucking work that took. But it's okay. Sort of. For now. Maybe. Things being okay sort of for now maybe is pretty much the best for which one can hope. You beiges come up over to here. We're going to have to toss another roundabout right here, and the purpose for that is just to have something for this to do. You'll swing out here. So these yellows will go here into this roundabout up to this business. All right. Are we satisfied with that? Probably not. Is that decent? One is going to have to redefine the word decent at some point. We take these beiges, we run this over to here. Here's a true fact about the underscore Goog. So yesterday I was on a deposition, and I was training a guy, because I'm, good at my job apparently. I was training a guy, and I was walking him through my process of setting up for a deposition, and I basically said, rather than have a consistent order of do this, then this, then this, then this, then this, a lot of times I find myself getting into a scenario of see something that needs doing and do it, which is great, except for the fact that it often results in half-done things. And I was acting as the videographer yesterday, so I was training a guy who was also going to be a videographer. The court reporter, who I've met like twice, but we're not friends or anything, but he's like a chatty, personable fella. So this chatty, personable fella just looks up and says, that sounds a lot like ADHD. And I had to look at this man and be like, yes, but shut up. Because it does. Listen. If we're sitting here playing armchair diagnostician, one of the things with which we would diagnose the underscore Goog is probably that. But also, shut up, buddy. You don't need to read me for shit like that. It's 8:42 in the morning. I don't need to be read for shit at 8:42 in the morning in Hartford, Connecticut. Thank you very much, Cliff. Man's name is literally Cliff. Don't dox Cliff. Don't dox Cliff, title of the episode, by the way. It's an extremely important instruction. I think I'd get fired if people doxed Cliff. All right, we're taking a tunnel because we don't necessarily need the 40 road tiles here. These beiges right here can swing down like so. Get up into here, service this circle eventually. We've also got these beiges and these, which are serving this one. This orange business only has one house going to it. That seems dumb and bad. We can fix it, be better about stuff. Ah, my neck. My everything, really. Samurai Sam would like to know the Goog's top 3 favoritist Mets players. It's probably going to mostly be right now. Because, if we go for all-timers, it would be dudes who the Goog likes who happened to play for the New York Mets, which means, Pedro Martinez and the like. Actually, hold on. We've got a developing situation with regards to these greens, by which I mean these greens, it turns out, are fucked, which is bad. So let's do this for Startskis, and then we'll get Hutch involved. But these 4 greenhouses here will swing up in a tunnel-based direction, and then they'll come into this roundabout and try to solve this green nightmare problem. And the real problem isn't so much those 4 houses. It's just everything being bad and dumb. But I can't do much about everything being bad and dumb. What I can do, incidentally, is use these yellows to serve this circle, which just went roundy. And then we'll take these yellows right here and use them as the new source of housemanship for this business over here. As for this beigeness, we're going to wait until Monday. Hope we get a tunnel. That's like plan A, and I don't have a plan B at the moment. Need a plan B. All right, we'll take a roundabout. Fuck. We'll toss a fourth purple house onto the road serving this business. We need a solution for this business, and I think, rather unfortunately, the solution there is going to be these three going up here. Like that. All right. Goog's 3 favorite Mets. Jeff McNeil's going to make the list. He's kind of a shithead about stuff, but listen, we're going to have to like baseball players for baseball reasons. Yeah, Jeff McNeil's going to make the list, and the reason for that is I've mentioned before that part of the reason I got into the Mets is that my friend Jarrett does a Mets-based podcast. It's excellent. It's called For All You Kids Out There. You should listen to it. My friend Jarrett, in addition to being a podcaster, is also like a professional scout type person. And somewhat early in his scouting career, he made what at the time was a controversial and surprising statement that Jeff McNeil, then fairly anonymous New York Mets prospect, was going to be a very good baseball player. In the scouting parlance, he said Jeff McNeil is a 6, and that basically means he was going to be very good. And at the time, it was like, wait, this guy? This guy? This guy who like kind of sucks a little bit at AA and can't stay healthy? This guy is gonna be pretty damn good? J-Man, are you sure about this one? J-Man was fairly confidently sure about that one, and he turned out to be right. So, always have a soft spot for Jeff McNeil. Mostly for that reason. Let's do this awful thing right here. We're going to break this road into 2 pieces. Send some of you going off there. We'll also take these 4. Just do that. This orange business is basically just going to have to be fine. I don't have a real answer for it. Speaking of things for which I don't have a real answer, hold on. I might have a real answer. It's just a bad one. Let's try. We might just be doomed with this business. It might be too late to save this. But if it's not too late to save this, it will be because we did this. So we're going to have these 6 greenhouses, and we're just going to use motorway number 4 to do that. So these 6 greens will serve this business. These 8 greens will roundabout themselves together. Actually, if I'm doing that, then we don't even need this roundabout anymore. RIP, the last relics of what was initially the 4-headed roundabout monster. Come to think of it, the 4-headed roundabout monster is probably a more accurate title for the episode. And it will slightly reduce the chances that anyone doxes Cliff. So that's good. Don't dox Cliff. But, title of the episode is now the 4-headed roundabout monster. We will take Tunnel. I have a soft spot for dominant closers. I think they're good and fun. It is an excellent feeling to be like, oh hey, it's the 9th inning. Here comes the greatest fireballing reliever who's ever lived. Y'all are fucked. And like, every once in a while, Edwin Diaz still looks like that. So we're going to include Edwin Diaz in my personal list of 3 favorite New York Mets. Let's bulldoze all of this Garbo Road so that we can run this Garbo Road up here. Plus, you get to listen to Narco. Listen, that's an excellent entrance. Is part of the the aura and the cachet of, oh hey, we're up by 2 in the 9th. Here comes the greatest fireballing reliever who's ever lived. Y'all are fucked. That green business died. A shame. Oh well. 1,830 does not feel like a particularly good number. Closers kind of are professional wrestlers. Now, see, sometimes that means they lose their minds and choke people, but closers are the most professional wrestlers of baseball players. That's very true. Sam did just ever so slightly better than me, so we will reluctantly drop the Samurai Slams in chat. And now we'll have to think of a third New York Met. I mean, I want to say Juan Soto, just because he's like fucking excellent at baseball and people are being dumb about how he's been kind of not fucking excellent, but also like he's a fucking excellent baseball player. He seems like a fine enough fella, but there's no particular affinity there. I don't know. I'm half tempted to pick like one of the handful of middling starting pitchers who has pitched very well this season on account of like the Mets unlocking something in them, but that's not, that's more like, oh, my favorite Met is the process. Fuck that. In a related development, I will not be saying, oh, my favorite Met is Steve Cohen's money. Fuck that. Francisco Lindor comes off as a legitimately cool dude. Like, particularly when grading on the scale of professional baseball player, Francisco Lindor comes off as a legitimately decent and entertaining and engaging and smart human being. So, there you go. Who the fuck is Griffin Canning? That's a good question, Sports Fun. One which John Silver will be asking for all time. So yeah, the Goog's top 3 Mets, they are his favorite squadron, are Jeff McNeil, Edwin Diaz, and Francisco Lindor. A very normie take. Sadly, the Goog is not one of those people who has a crush on Brett Beatty or anything. Good morning, Clancy the Crow. The wordle could very well be olive. It is not. But, we found an O and an I. This is pretty good. And it can't be Viola because we know there's no L. I think it's already been Olive. Well, someday it will be again because there are only so many words. This is true. It can't be idiot because the third letter is not I. Someday Goog will love Brett Beatty. I mean, maybe if he learns how to distinguish what the fuck a curveball is and stops swinging at the ones he can't hit, that would be nice. But, what do we have here? It could be patio. It could absolutely be patio. It is, in fact, not patio, but we did find where the I and the O go. So that is something. What about Romeo? Now, granted, that's not, a word, but if we look beyond that small hindrance. All right, it can't be radio because there's no A. It can't be video because that's not how you spell video, and also there's no V. Let's see here. It can't be Casio because that's a brand, and also there's no A. We don't want to kill the radio star. That's true, Sam. That's another reason it can't be video. Oh, you made the same joke. Now, what about, it can't be Susasudio because that's like a 12-letter word and also the title of an 80s song by, I think that was Don Johnson, actually. Anyway, what about, man, I suddenly have no idea. Oy. What about... Here, let's toss out 5 letters. Well, we found one of the letters. So... Okay. It's not studio. That's a 6-letter word. Would help if we used full and proper sentence grammar. That sort of thing. Well, it's not Lucio. Well, there's no L, and also that's an Overwatch character. Oh, boy. Clancy the Crow. I just got the Twitch alert I got the alert in OBS and nothing played on screen for... There it goes! Thank you, Clancy! Hitting the tier 1 sub button 4 months in a row for Clancy being able to drop all of these lovely tier 1 emotes right here. Good morning, Peter S. We should really commit to a plan for the traditional 4th of July subathon, by the way. I think that would be subathon 9. Yeah, we should probably commit to a plan for that. I don't know, talk about it in Discord or something. That sounds like a plan. Bang Discord. Commit to a plan. What the hell is this word, though? Curio. That's what it is. It's a cabinet of some kind. There we go. That makes sense. Away goes the don't tell me the answer text. Here comes, this is an exceedingly famous photo, isn't it? This is dudes building a skyscraper in New York in 19-1 or something like that, right? Because that's the Empire State Building. Is this 45? Really? This post-war? Well, it is a fairly well-developed New York by this point. So it's probably not I think it's earlier than that, though. If it's earlier than 45, it's got to be it's not going to be 30s on account of depression and shit, right? Probably. Yeah, Empire State Building was built in the 30s. Now, I'm only reasonably confident that that's what that is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the Empire State Building. If it's not, that means we're probably in Chicago, but yeah, no. Okay. Actually, Clancy, you could be right on with 45. Or maybe 46? I don't know. Can we tell anything from your... No, you don't have newspapers here. These are just your lunches. Okay. Huh. Yeah, it could be 46. Yeah, okay. All right, so we're going to New York, by which we mean Manhattan, which is what everybody means when they say New York. Specifically, we're going to the shadow of the Empire State Building. And, all right, if we think about it, if we look off over that away, it looks like, well, I was going to say, well, there's water over there, so the water is closer to this side, which probably means we're looking at it from here. Maybe we're in the Times Square Hell's Kitchen part of the world. I didn't realize Hell's Kitchen was that close to Times Square. How come you never see Daredevil punching people in front of 1,000 advertisements? Think about it. Let's see here. It kind of would make sense for us to be south, though, just because that's a little more tall buildings-y New York, but fuck it. All right, so we're roughly there-ish in 1945? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want Daredevil to throw the Punisher through the window of the M&M store. Do that. All right, it was 1932. Dang it. But we were fairly close-ish geographically. Okay. All right, next, we've got a double-decker bus, which indicates that we're in England, which probably means we're in jolly London town. This is, we shall have the worst spelling of the word music I've ever seen. That's fine. The Goog failed the Goog by listening to your advice. But it's not like I was going to get it right. I was going to say 1920, which would have been just as wrong. That is a thing that I think says Kimball's. Okay. I believe I understand that to be a store chain of some kind in the United Kingdom, including but not limited to Jolly London Town. This building over here is probably somewhat important. I don't know. All right, I think we just got a street scene in London in the like the 19 teens. Like we could be looking at like 1910. These are still very wide Horsley roads, but also we've started building car infrastructure. So yeah, let's say toss a dart at the center of Jolly London Town in 1916. Seems eminently reasonable. Is there a big old fancy church around here? I mean, yes, but probably not near the Shard. That seems incorrect. Here, we'll say we're in Trafalgar in 1916. Man, one of these days I'm gonna... 1939? Fuck you! Jerks. Oh. This was during the Blitz. They put a thing around that so that the statue of the king wouldn't... Okay. Alright, fine. Alright. Hi there, fishing fellas. Our fishing fellas here are in the shadow of Walt Disney. That doesn't seem right. What does this sign say? Malatinge Kazandi Turkite Himiandi Tessic Curler. Okay. So Mr. Tessic Curler here. Sam, look at this and tell me that's not Walt Disney. It's fucking Walt Disney. It's probably also a guy by the name of Erdogan, who's like a leader of some country. Okay, fine. He was Egypt? Erdogan? I could be wrong about that. I could be very wrong about that. I also thought he was like much more modern than this photo looks. Because wasn't he like overthrown as part of the Arab Spring or whatever? But also, I believe that's the flag of Turkey. And I believe that's the same flag, which I still believe is the flag of Turkey. And a couple of these said words that could have been Turkey, like Turkite or Tessic Curler. Or listen, occasionally the _Goog is a person who recognizes flags. This little boy is wearing a Kansas City Chiefs hat, which is unfortunate. It's not actually that. It could be Ford trucks, except red. No. All right. Your hat is blue. Interesting. Your hat is green. Mildly more interesting. Your hat is tan. Much less interesting. This has been Rank the Interestingness of Hats. All right. Yeah, I think Peter S. has it. We're on a bridge in Istanbul in 1987. I don't know. I didn't call them the Kansas Cityans. I maybe should? I don't know. Here, let's play Goog Ranks Racisms. It's a terrible game. The name of the Kansas City football team feels less wildly offensive to me than the name of the Atlanta baseball team. But, you know, I'm a pasty-faced gentleman from Massachusetts. My opinion only carries so much weight around here. Does the name of this boat mean anything? I don't know, possibly. Let's go to Istanbul. That's like around here, right? It's the dot on the map that says Istanbul. Okay, good. I'm glad we covered that. Let's go to a bridge. Probably not one of the huge, enormous ones. Probably that one. Let's go to that one bridge. That it is true that they are a real authoritative figure. It is also true that allegedly the football team was named after a dude whose nickname was Chief, and then they just kind of ran with it. And also, both of these teams do the tomahawk chop still, which is dumb and bad. You shouldn't ought to do that, Kansas City football team and also Atlanta baseball team. You shouldn't also what? How it? I don't understand how this photo was taken in 2018. I don't understand. I mean, you're supposed to recognize that this guy is Erdogan and like be like, oh, that's the guy who is or was recently in charge of Turkey. This must be an is or was recent photo. Which, when you say it like that, actually does make sense. Fuck. All right. Hi there, Peugeot. I just watched a clip from Top Gear where people made fun of your cars. I don't know why YouTube Shorts has started feeding Top Gear into my video feed, but, you know, I'm watching the clips, so that's the reason. What do we got here? This is an AIG building. Good for you, AIG. Assurances Generales Bruxelles. Got it. This is the Solanord Sinalco restaurant. Cool. It's also where you can buy your ladies' underwear. Listen, you gotta be multi-talented to succeed in business today's. I do play a game that's all about getting cars to places. That's, I suppose, true. All right. Now, if I was a person who recognized license plates, this would be very easy. But, well, I'm not, so we got a problem. Let's see here. We did see... All right, so this is a drive on the right country, which eliminates some countries. That did say Nord, so maybe we're in, like, Norway land. Hold on. Wait. Now, if you think about this, if you just kind of glance over here, we might have just a thought as to a potential location. All right. Let's see. I will now draw a circle that encompasses Luxembourg. Great. I'm pretty sure it's like not horribly far from Switzerland, right? Luxembourg, you're like not horribly far from Switzerland, right? Oh, have I confused you with Liechtenstein? Fuck. I think I might have confused you with Liechtenstein, Luxembourg. It's bad for me. All right. Well, that's where Liechtenstein is. Where's Luxembourg? Is it a little more northerlish and maybe Scandinavia adjacent? Could be Scandinavia adjacent. Crap. It's literally on my screen. Of course it's on my screen. I'm looking at a map of Europe. It's not helpful. All right. What of these has got to be? Luxembourg, right? This is Serbia and Montenegro and Bosnia and Herzegovina and Slovenia, Croatia, Austria, Czechia, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Moldova, the Ukraine, Bulgaria, Italy, France. Aha! There. Stupid country. Stupid country. God. And when was this? 81. Judging entirely by that man's t-shirt. 71. Okay, fine. Next and last round. Good God. All right. So ce soir, you can visit Paris at night. Okay, fine. Interesting. So we got a whole bunch of French signage here. It indicates one of two possibilities. This is the most neon illuminated travel agency I've ever seen. Like, you know the comic book that turned into a Bruce Willis movie, Sin City? This is a tourism agency in Sin City. I expect Jessica Alba and a stripper pole to be just inside this room. But, you know, most rooms would be improved by the addition of Jessica Alba and a stripper pole. It must be said. Anyway, this is where you can do your car tourism, specifically car tourism. There's also a Spanish restaurant here. Fine. These are the voyages of itchy folks. I'm looking for like, all right, so this says visit Paris. This says go to Paris. None of these actually say we're in Paris. So like, I kind of think this is New Orleans. Like, honestly, there's so much, hey, Paris is great here. And I know that the French have a particular reputation, but... Oh, man, I'm sure you have, Sam. I'm going to galaxy brain myself into saying that we're in New Orleans when we are, in fact, just in fucking Paris, aren't we? Oh, man. Oh, I can already feel that having happened. Okay. Well, let's just go for it. This is New Orleans, 1948. I don't know, is there a date down here at the bottom of this photo? We've got LOL 12685. That doesn't help. None of these are dates. None of these are dates. You stupid photo scribbling. All right. So this is where we probably are. And this is where I'm going to say we are. So... it's either going to be the biggest galaxy brain in the history of the world, or I'm just dumb. There is no middle ground here. There was no middle ground there. Also, I was 20 years off on the time, so we got, out of a possible 10,000 points, we scored 12, which is, bad. I'm going to suggest that might be bad. I did so well with the geography up until, all right, fine. For today's Immaculate Grid, we need Guardians, Pirates, Brewers, Red Sox, dudes what are in the Hall of Fame, and dudes what played right field. A dude who played for the Red Sox and also the Pittsburgh Pirates is Bronson Arroyo. In addition to, Tim Wakefield's a more obvious choice there. But, yeah, Bronson Arroyo. Red Sox and Pirates dude. Dude who played for the Red Sox and Guardians is Andy Marte. Yes, Andy Marte played for the... game? Hold up. Okay. What? The Andy Marte is a third baseman. He was supposed to be really good, but then he busted. I'm not making this dude up. He was a Red Sox prospect. He never made the majors with the Red Sox. Motherfucker! I forgot that he never made the majors with the Red Sox. Also, congratulations to Andy Marte for getting back to the major leagues in 2014 after being total garbage for several seasons and then not playing in the bigs for 3 years. Good for you, buddy. We're going to ignore the fact that you also sucked in 2014. Yeah, he was supposed to be this big honkin' deal, and then he kind of wasn't, and I could have sworn that he actually made it to the bigs with the Red Sox, but he didn't. Oops. Dude who played for the Red Sox and Guardians is the aforementioned Justin Masterson. Sad. Dude who played right field for the Red Sox. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy. He's kind of obscure. I think he was teammates with Lefty Grove. It's well, actually, he couldn't have been teammates with Lefty Grove. There's a fairly obvious reason he wouldn't have been teammates with Lefty Grove. But, yeah, there's a gentleman by the name of Marcus Lynn Betts. He was good. A dude who played for the Pirates and is in the Hall of Fame is name a historically great Pittsburgh Pirate. A dude who played for the Guardians and is in the Hall of Fame is James Howard Thom. A dude who played right field and is in the Hall of Fame is George Herman Ruth. Dude who played right field for the Brewers is Jeff Cirillo. They probably stuck him in that corner. They never played Jeff Cirillo in right. Okay, fine. Listen, I know Christian Yelich is mostly a left fielder these days, but he's also played right. And, this is a badly performed, inaccurate, and incomplete Immaculate Grid. So, that's nice. Oh, God. Folks, that is going to do it for us here today on Good Morning Mini Motorways. I will be back, however, later tonight for Dragon Age: The Veilguard as we return to Thedas and do things involving the guarding of the Veil. Possibly. Hopefully. Maybe. We've done very little actual Veil guarding, considering that that's the name of, the game. But I'm sure we'll get around to it. It'll be fun. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And this is the end screen. Bye. Click the thing, OBS.